The fight for civil and human rights and immigration reform couldn't have better leaders than the next two women, who happen to be sisters. Montserrat Garibay and her sister Julieta Garibay arrived in this country from Mexico as children and have made immigration reform and the fight for human and civil rights their life work. Montserrat is the Vice President of the Certified Employees with Education Austin. She has a proven track record on fighting for women's rights, immigration, voter participation, racial equity, and labor rights. Julieta is a registered nurse by profession and an organizer by choice. She leads the United We Dream legislative strategy, and in 2005, she co-founded the University Leadership Institute at the University of Texas in Austin. It is one of the first undocumented youth-left organizations in the nation. It is my honor to welcome the two dynamic sisters to the stage.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, AFT. My name is Montserrat Garibay. I am a National Board Certified teacher, and I taught pre-K for 8 years in Austin, Texas. 20 years ago, my mother, my sister Julieta, and I arrived in Austin, Texas as undocumented immigrants. My father physically abused my mother for many years, and we were very scared. My mother, a courageous and hardworking woman, wanted a better life for us. We arrived not knowing a word of English, scared, and with a deep desire to learn and to start a new life. In school, Julieta and I found our guardian angel, Mrs. Hernandez, our ESL teacher, who made a big impact in our lives. She taught us how to speak in English and navigate the American school system. But most importantly, she was a great role model. It is because of her that I decided to be an educator. I wanted to help young immigrant students and their families. Our mother has always valued education. She often says, "When I die, the only thing I'm leaving you is your education." So when I graduated from high school, she sent me back to Mexico so I could start college. Believe me, this was the most hard decision that we made as a family. After a long process, I was able to come back to the States, and with the help of my mother's boss, I was able to enroll in college, and I earned a degree in bilingual education from the University of Texas. And after a 16-year process, I became an American citizen. And since I proudly exercise my civic duty of voting, and I proudly represent Texas at the Democratic National Committee.
Good afternoon. It is a great pleasure to be here in front of my sisters, brothers and sisters of AFT. It always amazes me and it makes me so proud of her when she tells me about the amazing victories you all do and the amazing work you do. Really, hats off to each of you. As Montserrat mentioned, although we came here when we were children and as a family, my story is not the same. I was unable to adjust my status because of the unjust, convoluted immigration system. Although I had the privilege of attending the University of Texas, where I earned my bachelor's and a master's in nursing, I was still undocumented. And although I was a very proud nurse, something that I had loved for many years, I was still undocumented. I was still looking behind me, wondering if one day I would get pulled over by a cop and then deported, or if one day an immigration raid would happen and I would be deported for working as a waitress under the table like many other immigrants do in this country. It was until 2005 when Montserrat found out about the DREAM Act when I saw the light. Without knowing, we learned what it was to organize. We learned about the power of organizing our community. On a cold Sunday morning, it was my mother, Cecilia, Montserrat, and I. We sat in the dining table and we said, we need to organize. We need to share our story. Our goal was for me to be able to practice nursing, my beloved profession. But the goal of destiny and life was different. It was to teach me a life lesson, that it was not about me. It was rather about the many dreamers that I've met throughout my journey. It was about Evelyn, one of my dear friends from Florida, who last time she saw her mother was as she was being handcuffed as they got pulled over for a minor traffic violation. And the last time she saw her was as she was getting on a cop car. She was later deported. It's about Señora Felipa from North Carolina, who's an undocumented mother, but who has decided to fight because her son was deported years ago. It's about Onika from New Jersey, whose father was deported to Jamaica. It's about my friend, Jose Antonio Vargas, an LGBTQ undocumented brother from the Philippines, who came here as an unaccompanied minor. It was thanks to this movement that Montserrat and I decided to build the University Leadership Initiative, a local organization in Austin, Texas, that's led by and for undocumented immigrant youth, who had the courage just this week of telling President Obama during his speech that he needed to stop the deportations. Soon after, also some of now who became my best friends, we decided to build United We Dream, the first and largest undocumented immigrant youth-led network in the nation. It started because we wanted a space for dreamers to talk about our fears, to start organizing, and thankfully has become one of the strongest organizations for undocumented immigrant youth. It was on an unforgettable winter in 2010, Lame Duck 2010, when the DREAM Act was about to pass, when maybe I was going to be able to practice my profession, that many of us dreamers and allies, including Montserrat and I, decided to drop everything and just go to DC and fight for the DREAM Act. Democrats, in a futile attempt to try to get Republicans to support the DREAM Act, decided to change the age cap, which basically made me ineligible. But I said, you know what? It doesn't matter if I'm not eligible for the DREAM Act. I'm standing with my brothers and sisters who are undocumented and who are suffering every day. Sadly, 5 senators failed us, and the DREAM Act failed. But it was a blessing in disguise. Thanks to that, the Dreamer movement grew stronger, hungrier for relief for our dreamers. And so United We Dream decided to launch our Right to Dream campaign. Even though everybody told us, you're not going to win it, it's impossible for President Obama to do something for you. We pushed and we fought and we won. In June 2012, President Obama announced Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, now known as DACA, which gives many of my brothers and sisters a work permit for 2 years and deprived from deportation. Ironically, once again, I was not eligible. But that didn't matter, because we won the biggest, and I say again, the biggest victory in more than 2 decades in the immigrant rights movement. And it was brought by no other than the Undocumented Immigrant Youth Organizing.
In the same period, I was teaching, and I had many students whose families were in deportation. My heart ached every time I had to see a family being separated. I clearly remember the day that I called Jose's mom to ask her why he had been absent for almost a week. She told me, crying, that her husband was detained and was in deportation proceedings. Jose, a 4-year-old, was extremely sad, and he was not eating, and he just kept crying. Jose's stories is not unique. There is not a month that goes by that I keep seeing cases like this. Now, I serve as the Vice President of Education Austin, the Teachers and Employees Union in Austin, Texas. Our school district has a significant number of dreamers. Within a family, you can have members that are undocumented, that are permanent residents, that are US citizens. And we know that these families are separated for the senseless deportations. This issue not only affects our students and their families, it also affects our members, because they have many mixed status families. We also have a great number of permanent residents who are eligible to become US citizens, but they really don't know how to go about the process. Just a few months ago, one of our members shared with me that her husband, who was her high school sweetheart, is undocumented, and they got married. They also have a child together, and she fears that he will be deported. There are 5.5 million children who live in mixed status families. Therefore, our local decided to get involved because our union believes in the importance of working on social justice issues. We believe that we must empower and provide our members with opportunities to get involved with the community. We asked some of our members that received the DACA permits and now are teachers to share their stories to inspire young youth and also to show them that they're not alone. We know that comprehensive immigration reform is not passing anytime soon. Therefore, we have decided to be proactive and to organize. We have partnered with multiple organizations in our community, and we have organized DACA educational forums and DACA clinics to inform our memberships, our parents, and our students about the 2-year working permit. It is also because of my personal journey that I do this work. I love to be part of my union. I want to make sure that we provide the necessary tools for my members so they can have the same opportunity that I had. Just last April, our union held our first citizenship drive, and we helped 122 eligible permanent residents to fill out their naturalization application to become US citizens. Many of our teachers and custodians and bus drivers fill out the application with so much pride. And now they're waiting to take their naturalization exam. They are proud of their union.
Amongst the work that Montserrat does, it has also been the same movement that has kept us in the same movement. But these same people, Montserrat and I, as well as many of our immigrant families, are the ones who also witness the 2 million deportations that have happened under this administration. 2 million families that have been separated because of the senseless deportation machinery. It is the same families and the same dreamers that have decided that it was time to fight back, that we need relief for our families, that we cannot continue waiting on a do-nothing Congress because they don't have the courage or the vision to fix the immigration system. And so, through our We Can't Wait campaign with United We Dream and many of our friends here at FD, we're pushing our We Can't Wait campaign. We're pushing for President Obama to expand DACA for dreamers so that people that have aged out like myself are actually eligible. We're pushing so that President Obama grants DACA to our parents, who are the original dreamers, who had the courage to leave everything behind to give us something better. We're pushing for the stop of senseless deportations and separation of so many families that have happened already. We're asking President Obama to grant us humanitarian parole, to make sure that parents like Evelyn's mother and Onika's father are able to come back even though they've been deported. And we're also asking for the stop of criminalization of our communities. We're fed up with programs like 287G and the so-called secure communities that make it okay for local cops to come in, stop you, and arrest you, and then deport you. That is not okay. We cannot be seeing our local cops as the ones that actually end up deporting us. So today, I actually would like really to applaud AFT as well, because they are standing with families, because they're passing a resolution saying this is not good, saying that we need to stand with families and we need to stop the deportations.
I am grateful to be part of AFT and to have a leader like Randy Weingarten as a president, because her action speaks louder than words. She has been a leading example in the labor movement, and as we demand justice and dignity for our immigrant families.
But we can't do this alone. We need each of you. So today we ask you, will you stand with us? Will you stand with dreamers? Will you stand with families as we fight for justice? Thank you. So I want you to take out your phone.
Thank you.